Hello and welcome to a comprehensive course of T-SQL where I will be covering from beginner to advanced level and will be following a structured approach which starts off with fundamental concepts and then gradually introduce more complex topics. I've split the topics into three modules, which starts off with basic and then intermediate and advanced level, and it covers up SQL Server queries, and it will take you from beginner to advanced level. This entire course will demonstrate different TSQL queries concept from basic to advanced. So in this entire course, I will be using Azure Data Studio, and in order to install Azure Data Studio, I will post a link to this page where you will have a complete guidance of installing Azure Data Studio. Um, uh, it it just requires a developer edition to be downloaded, and then you can install and set up a local host server, and then moving to maybe you can use this to create a sample database and table and insert some values, or I'll be giving another thing that you will be using a sample database which is from Microsoft, and it is called the AdventureWorks database. And in AdventureWorks, I will post this link, GitHub link, to in the description as well, so you can just follow the instruction to install the database through either through script or through the backup. And these instructions are given step by step, and we if you have any questions related to that, just send me a message and I'll be happy to help you out. So let's get started. I've got my Azure Data Studio ready. I'll open it up, and once it opens up, it will have the database for AdventureWorks, as I mentioned. So it already has AdventureWorks database. We will expand the tables, and we will see all the tables related to sales as well as other stuff. So this is basically using the entire sales process, and we'll be using our queries utilizing those sales table. Just the basic structure of the SQL table. This is under the format of some words dot the table name. So the table name is after the dot, but before the dot it is schema name. So we'll go through schema later on in this course as well. So we'll get started. The easiest way to fetch some values from a table is just clicking on this table and just right clicking, and then it pops up a menu uh, of about the query. So we'll just select top 1,000 records, and it will open up a query window with the query written, a select query written, and it is executing and it is displaying the first 1,000 records in that. We can also explore other tables as well, like for example, the sales order detail, and you just select 1,000 from sales order, and this will give an option. This will give a detail about sales order, which is all the details about the a particular sales order. We can also look for the sales order header, and it contains a summary of the sales order for the uh, AdventureWorks. So this basically, it is all the tables are interconnected, if you can see. So for example, this is sales order major table, as well as customer address, billing address, shipping address is separate. Plus, if you explore sales order detail, it contains the sales order ID, as well as the product ID, as well as the sales order detail ID, which is the primary key. The first one is the primary key as well as the foreign key related to the sales order header table. So and we have the product tables, which there are product categories, product descriptions, and product model. Plus, there is a customer information as well that gives customer details and customer addresses as well. From the file menu, we will click on new query, and it will open up a blank canvas. We'll have to select the AdventureWorks table. So in this way, it is showing as the queries related to AdventureWorks. 3, 2, 1. So now we are ready to explore well, we've already done exploration of the tables and schemas. So we'll write our first query. So let me just start off writing uh, the query with a select statement. So what will be done here is, select from schema. Schema is sales LT, as I mentioned. And let's select product. So then we'll click on run, and then the values will come through. It gives a detail about the result, as well as the total number of records, which is 295, how many time it took to execute, and the number of the execution and the server and everything that is given as well. So it also gives a column information with all. Static means we are selecting everything from that product table. And let's explore this select statement. So in this select statement, the order of the execution matters. For example, this select query will start off with the select keyword, and then static or number of columns from is the keyword as well, and then the schema name dot table name. 3, 2, 1. So let's explore this select statement, and further. 3, 2, 1. Let's explore this select query further. So the way it is executed, the order of execution matters from by the SQL engine. So first is the execution of the first keyword is the from keyword. So if the SQL engine evaluates, it evaluates the from clause first, and this is because it will evaluate the source records for the rest of the statement. Then if we for example include a where clause, and where product ID equals 680, for example, and if you see here, this one record is there. So from clause is executed from which source, and then next is the where clause that is executed. So I've just added this where clause. If it is not there, then next step goes to the select one. So it is saying, for example, from this table, select static. Static means all columns. So if I add, for example, product ID, comma, name, color, and list price, and then we will execute this one first. So it is giving me a selected columns. So what happens is, the execution process is that from this table, select product ID, name, color, and list price. So this is the simplest evaluation of the SQL query. We will further move towards advanced level queries, where we'll have the group by clause as well as having clause, plus the order by clause as well. So if, for example, order by clause is like, if you want to for example write order by product ID, so it will sort uh, accordingly. So if I do this, and this is, I'm selecting everything without any filter criteria. So sorry, just giving the space and then executing it. So it is giving me an ordered list of a sorted list of by product ID. We can also do a list price as well. So if you just copy and paste list price, this thing will be evaluated according to the list price. And it is, if you see, increasing list price, the smallest will be shown first regardless of the all the other columns. If I write PESC, so this means the top one, the highest list price will be given. So this order by clause, as well as the where clause, as well as other group by, and all clauses are very important. And it makes great flexibility, and gives great flexibility in the sense of uh, execution, and fetching the records. So this is done. Now what we'll do is, this is one query, and now we will just go through and do some more evaluations as well. So if I start off with the, again, writing the select static from this table, and then executing only this query. Sorry, we have a double from, so it's just one thing. And if I execute this, it is giving me all the columns, all the records from that table. And remember, here's a tip. If you want, and this is same as SQL Management Studio as well as Azure Data Studio. So if you want to select, if there are multiple queries, and if you want to select only a particular query, then just need to highlight and then either press F5 or click on run. So it will execute that particular query. So for example, if I'm highlighting this and clicking on run, it will only evaluate the selected query. So for example, now I'm just trying to create one query based on this one. So if we look here, is the standard cost as well as the list price. So we can perform a calculated column or a mathematical operation by selecting the product name and the list price minus standard cost column. So let me gather the columns first. And intelligence is very good in this case. When you start typing, it will come up. And so let's select these columns and then evaluate this. Commenting as an SQL statement, you just put a double hyphen for the row, and you know forward slash static, and forward slash, sorry, static backslash, to evaluate the entire section of that. So I'm just doing it here. You can also do a control and forward slash, and it will automatically comment the value. After getting the list of columns that we require, we just apply um, we just apply uh, a minus sign in between. So I'm sorry, I'm just uh, yeah, instead of the comma, I'm just applying a minus sign, and that will perform an operation of the actual profit in this area. So if you execute this, it gives a name as well as no column name. This means that we haven't specified a column name. So this means we have performed the operations, but we haven't specified a column name. So I'll just copy this, and then I'll create another. Sorry, let's create. I'll just paste this, and we'll see how it works in the sense. So I'm just selecting this, executing this. So this is, for example, this list price is 1431.5. Standard cost is 1059.31. The end result is the profit column. So, or you would say the markup price in this. So in order to, since this is given no column name, if you want to specify a column name, we will use as keyword, as, and then give a value, sorry, give a name, for example, markup, and then execute this. So this means it has given a column name of that particular evaluation. So this as keyword helps us give a column name. We can also give a name to an alias name, which is called, to a standard raw column as well. So if we just, for example, standard underscore cost, and see, instead of this now, this stnd underscore cost will be written. So if I evaluate this, so let's see, it has replaced the original column name as well. So we can play around using the as keyword in terms of defining an alias for each column in the result. We'll just rename the, or we'll just comment this one, and we'll start off with another query. So we will go back and write the select static from um, this table, and if we execute this, let's find out what we can do now. The thing that I wanted to explain is concatenation, which means that we are combining two columns or evaluating or combining a text with a column as well. So let's take name, comma, uh, product number, comma, color, and then size. And then what we'll do is, let's execute this first. It is giving me name, product number, color, and size. So what we are doing is we want to concatenate color column as well as the size column. So what we'll do is now is just copy this and then put up color. And there is a concatenating operator, that is a plus sign, and this plus sign applies for on both side, and then in between there is a single quote uh, sign which specifies that there is something on the left and something on the right. So if we evaluate this, it is showing me as no column name as expected, and it is combining or concatenating everything. We can put a delimiter here to just specify or to separate out color and size. So we're just putting a comma here. We can also put a space here. So see, this column is coming as concatenated columns. We can also give name this column, and we are naming this column as prod details. Full name, product details, and then evaluate this, execute this. So it is giving me product details with the color and size. We can remove both of the column as well and just put it here. We can also do something that if I want to concatenate a text value in front or at the back of the any particular column, we can do it like this. So for example, this hash ABC. So now ABC will be concatenated in front of color, and if we execute this, it is showing dash ABC for everything. So this is how concatenation works. This plus sign just works on strings, majority or varchar values, because if this column is, for example, um, if you want to, let's do one example as a product detail. So this size, just copying the size, and then plus plus, and if I want to just plus operator, then it will, it is a varchar column. That is why it has just added the column. Numerical value plus operator will add them, and there are some null values as well, and we can explore the null values in the later videos in the sense. We'll write another query and just test this concatenation again. So select, and we'll just copy paste this. So this time we use product ID, and then plus equal plus name. See how what happens here. It says conversion fail when converting the varchar value to data type int, because this product ID is an integer and it is the numeric value. We cannot add the concatenation operations on the numeric value, product ID, and the name. So this name is varchar, or basically starts evaluation from the single quotation, and then product ID is integer. So to modify this query, we have to use a word called or a keyword called cast. So this cast works like cast product ID as varchar, and then we'll specify the characters varchar 10, for example, and then we'll try to run this query. You just have to close the parenthesis. See how it works. So see this product ID, it has been converted or cast. So this function is used to change the numeric product ID column into varchar. Varchar is the variable length character data, and we have specified the length as well, number of the number of characters, and it can be now concatenated based on that as well. The There is another function that is being used. One is the cast function, the other one is the convert function. So we'll use convert function as well. The syntax of that function is a bit different. So convert. So now you have to specify the value first, or the data type first, and then the product ID. We will not be using the as command, and this will execute in the same way. If you see. So the cast function is kind of an what you call it, SQL language standard, and it is used in most database systems. Um, while this convert function, so this means that cast function can also be used in MySQL, Oracle, and other standardized SQL languages. But convert function is used specifically to within SQL Server or Azure Data Studio. Another key difference between two functions is that convert includes an additional parameter that can be used to format, like for example, date as well, and converting them to the next kind of a text-based data. And the cast function simply converts one data type into another. Next, we'll move on and write another query, and we'll just put up this table first, and then write select static from product. We'll explore some more things. So for example, um, this size this size is has it has some numeric values as well as null values as well as some text values as well. So this is not a integer or a numeric function. So let's try this. So we'll include name comma size, and let's execute this first step by step, and then we'll use cast size as integer. It's called int, and this is we'll evaluate as numeric underscore size. We'll see what happens. It says conversion failed when converting the nvarchar value m to the data type integer. So remember, the size was also m as well as large XL and stuff, as well as the number mentioned as well. So now it has failed to convert the small, medium, and large, which is the text one. So in order to execute and in order to find out where there are errors in the query while executing the entire query itself, we will use a function called try underscore cast, and everything remains the same. We'll just evaluate this, and if you see here, it has converted the numeric size, the numerical values to the integer. However, all other values that contains either null or a text value, small, medium, large, it has given everything as null. So now, next thing what we'll do is we'll just see how we can handle null values. And in order to do that, we'll create another query. So in this way, we'll just start off with select static, and then we'll use this name and try cast thing as well here. And let's evaluate step by step as well, because we are also exploring things. There is a function called is null, and if we apply it here, null, it takes two parameters. So one is the actual expression, the other one is the replacement values. And the replacement value, for example, we give 0 and then close the parenthesis. Let's evaluate this one. And what it has given result is that it has converted all the numerical values to the actual integer, while if there are nulls in the results, it has converted it to the replacement value, which is 0 at this stage, in this way. So we are specifying in this example that we're using the try cast, um, and we can just evaluate. We can also create multiple columns, like for example, um, integer, or sorry, numerical size column as a separate one, original size column as a separate one, and we can just pick up all the values which contains non-numeric as well. So this can be tried as well in while running the SQL queries and selecting the tables. Moving on to the next query type, and so for example, we'll just go through the this table again. We'll just try to execute this, and we will find some values which are null in the columns in the details. And if you see here, the color, majority of the record contains a specific color, but however there are three null values here. As long as I can see, there are multiple as well here, mentioning as well. So we just want to replace it with a fixed value, so we can specify this. So I'm just selecting that column, and then I'm just using is null function in the color column and replacing the value, for example, as blank, or you would say default. So what it will do, it will create all the, it will, this is the original column, and let's explore and slide down. So wherever there is null, it has replaced the color name to the default value. Next, we'll do another scenario where we will utilize this table, and so I'm just first evaluating this. If you see here, there are some scenarios you want to compare multiple columns and find the first one that is not null. For example, you want to track the status of the order. So for example, this is cell start date and cell end date. So this means that the status of the product availability on the dates recorded when it was first offered for sales or removed from sales. A product that is currently available will have selling start date, but the sales end date will be null. When a product is no longer sold, a date is entered. The sell end date is entered, and we will be evaluating, or we'll be finding out all the products that are offered not for sale because it has a sell end date. So first we'll do is we'll just do a product name, sell end date, like start date and sell end date. Let's evaluate this. See, this is giving sell end date. We can do it by using the where clause as well, but there is another function which we can use. Um, we can use that. And to find the first non-null column, you can use the coalesce function. And let me specify this. So what it's doing is it's just using function name is coalesce, and it's showing as the sales end date func first, and sales start date as second. So now if we remove and execute, so this query returns the last date on which the product selling status was updated, but doesn't actually tells us that there is a sales status or not. To determine that, we'll need to check the date to see if the sale end date is null. And to do this, we will use a case expression. And in that case expression, we'll use it within the select clause to check the null sales end date, sell end date. And this case expression has two variants: a simple case that evaluates a specific column or value, or a searched case that evaluates one or more expressions. So in this example, our case expression must determine if the sale end date column is null. Typically, when you are trying to check the value of a column, you can use the equal operator. So generally we can just specify a specific date, or a kind of a thing that specifies, like, a cell end date equals a particular date. If it can return true and false as well. Dealing with null values is totally different, because the default behavior may not be what you expect. Remember that null value actually means unknown. So using the equal operator to compare two unknown will always retrieve the result as null. So it is impossible to know if one unknown value is same as another. To check to, if you want to check the value is null, you must use is null function, and then check the, for example, is not null as well. So in this case, we'll move on and we'll see. So for example, yeah, I will just copy this query. Instead of copying just one thing, I'll just copy the entire query, and then we'll see. Now we'll use a the name column will remain the same. Now we'll introduce a case keyword, and then case when cell and date is null. Then we just mention this current, else we can say expired. This case expression contains a case keyword, and then the next comes the when clause, and this is the column name. Case when abc equal to 0, then give a value. So it's a kind of an if statement in the sense. So this use a case keyword where when and then is used. So we can also use, for example, sales date equals 2025, sorry, 2015, 2002 dash 06 dash 01, then current, otherwise it is expired. You can do this one as well, but for this query we are evaluating null, so we'll just use is null. Then after the else clause, we can use multiple when condition as well. So for example, when sale sell start date, and then and after all the when statements are finished, we will use the else statement as well. Or we can also use after a when statement, there is a kind of a end clause, and then end clause will also have a column name or column alias that needs to be given as well. So this is this is given whenever the case cell end date is null, it is given as expired, or sorry, current. And whenever there is a sale end date which has a value, it has given um, a, an expired status. Let's evaluate this as well by commenting the else statement and see. It has executed only the if clause, for example the when clause. And we can, if we want to skip the else statement, we can also skip that, and it will just give a null value to that, because this condition has not been met, and this condition we need to meet the else condition as well. So everything else gives an expired status here. So now we have learned many things about select statements, that is to handle null values as well as working with data types. We will compile all the information and provide a solution to the customer data, that is. So what we will do is we will retrieve the customer details from the customer table, and then we will retrieve the customer name information as well, and the phone number for that. So that after doing that, we will uh, also retrieve customer order data, and in order to do that, we'll retrieve a list of companies, customers, as well as the sales order that a customer has placed. Furthermore, we will also retrieve customer contact details, and in order to retrieve the customer contact details, we will retrieve primary contacts, as well as update the uh, middle names, and all the stuff that will be playing around with the names. So let's get started. So I've opened up a new query from the AdventureWorks database, and I will just retrieve customer information. So I will just type select all from sales dot customer, and then we'll see how it goes. So this is giving all the customer information, the customer ID, first name, middle name, last name. And then we will do what we will do now is we will retrieve customer name. I'll just copy this here, and we'll just say customer title, sorry, title, then first name, then middle name, and last name, and then um we will also include suffix. That is the thing. So then we will run this, and we'll see we have a limited data, limited columns selected from the customer table. So this is the updated query with the customer information as well as the salesperson as well as the phone number. Okay. Now what we will do is we will retrieve the customer names and phone number related to that salesperson. So we will type select, and we'll just include salesperson. Then we will use is null function, and is null function, as you know, specifies the uh, kind of if there is a null value, then just don't display null, display a particular uh, key value or value in that. So we will just concatenate this, and as we've learned earlier, the concatenation, we are just giving plus sign and then to quote and then last name, and all is in the IntelliSense. And so this query we will execute. So see, this is salesperson, and this is a concatenation of the title or the suffix or the last name. And remember, and if you can see, there's no column name specified here. So this means we can define a column alias as, and we'll just do a square bracket and customer name. So sorry, you need to select and then run. So after executing, if you see here, salesperson and customer name is given. We'll just use different casing here. Customer name. So this is, yeah, we'll also add a phone number as well here. So if you select and run this, it will give salesperson's customer name and phone number. So this is the complete customer name given as well as the salesperson information as well. I will open up another query, which is the blank query as well. So now we need to find out the customer company name as well as the order with that. So we'll start off with the same customer. So we'll start off with this. So remember to just whenever you start a query, you can start off with the select all from the customer itself. We will use customer ID here, and then we'll try to run. So customer ID, we will give all the customer IDs from the customer table, and then what we'll do is we'll also use company name, and then we'll see how it goes here. So this is customer ID and company name. So what we need to do is we need to concatenate the company name as well as the uh, the customer ID together. So what we'll do is we'll just do a plus sign as well as concatenation, single quote, and then plus sign again, company name. So now what we'll do is we'll execute, and it will give some error. So say conversion failed while converting envarchar value. Remember we faced this issue earlier as well. So what we'll do is we'll use cast function. In cast function, we'll use this customer ID, and we make it as non-numeric. So we'll just do it as varchar. So this will cast the customer ID and convert it to varchar values, and then we will be able to concatenate this. I'll add just a colon here just to separate out instead of the space, and then we'll execute this and see now is being executed customer ID as well as the customer name. So since it is no column name, we will just give an alias of customer company. Now we'll execute and we'll see the customer company and the column name is there. Next thing what we'll do is we'll just figure out the customer contact number, contact name, contact details, as well as the additionally we'll do a shipping status or the order details about that customer as well. So we'll just start off with the customer, copy and then paste here. So this is the one we will include first name, and then let's concatenate this again. So first name space middle name, and then last name as customer. What we'll execute and see here, there are some null values that are showing up here. So in order to devise the null value, let me do another query just to show what's going on here. So this is first name. I'm removing the concatenation here. Instead, I'm giving just commas, and keep an eye on number 2 and number 5. So it says number 2 has a middle value, middle name null. And this is the reason why if null is being concatenated, it converts everything to null. So in order to cope up with this, what we will use? We will use an is null function. Sorry. I'll do is null, and we'll assign a value, of course. And see it's giving some things here. Now if you notice, which were one of the this customers has, for example, Keith Harris, it has a null no middle name, which means there is a blank space here, plus we are using this blank space as well. So this means that if we use a concatenation and we will bring it in the is null expression, it will remove this white space. Let me tell you what I've done here. So I'm just applying this concatenation within the is null function expression, so that it whenever it is null, it just gives one space rather than giving two spaces. So now see what will happen. So it is showing as a blank value, and let me remove this one, this space as well in this. So now it will show the correct spaces. So if the customer name doesn't have a middle name, then it will remove the extra space and bring this value as a part of the is null function, because null applies to everything, becomes null. So now we've got customer name and all the information related to that customer. Concatenated information related to that customer. Next, what we'll do is we'll retrieve primary contact details. So let me copy paste this one. Improve. In fact, I will just update this query here. So I'll just use customer ID instead of first name, and then email address, and then phone, and we'll just name this as primary contact. Let's execute this and see these are the results that are being given here. Let me do a copy paste, and what I'm doing here is that whatever we've learned previously, we'll use a coalesce function, suppose there's this email address, comma phone as primary contact, and then we'll see how it works. So what it's doing is it's retrieving whenever there is an email address as null, it is considering phone number as the value, and this is the primary uh, column that is being given here. So coalesce function is a function in SQL that returns the first non-null value in the list. It can have multiple expressions, but we can use it in a it's a kind of a shortcut to the case expression. The case anything is null, just consider phone number um, as an alternative. So in this one, let's find out another value. So for example, I'm executing this and I'm just checking this number, customer ID 106, which is the 67th record. And if I check this and run this query, so 67th record also shows here as a phone number, not an email address. Similarly with the 72 customer ID 113. So this is being given as a primary contact information. Next, we will move on to fetch the shipping status or the order status here. So we'll use select again sales order ID. Sorry, we'll use another table, which means we'll just use sales table, SalesLT. Sorry, from SalesLT dot sales order header. And this will retrieve all the sales information. We will only fetch sales order ID here and order date. Now let's see, it will shrink the records. So sales order ID and order date is there. And we'll also fetch ship date here. So for example, if I get shipping date, and this is saying that 1st of June 2008 versus 8th of June 2008. So now what we'll do is we'll use a case statement and say that if the shipping date um, is null, because there are some records which will have shipping date as null values, which means that these are the records. If this is null, then which is awaiting shipment, and we'll just assign a shipped status if the shipping date is not null. So what we'll do is we'll use a case statement. Just look at the syntax, and then we'll use case when ship date. I forgot to put the comma here. That is important. So case when ship date is null, then we'll give a status awaiting. Else shipped. And as status and as s underscore status. Now we'll see what will happen here. Let me go this. Just do that, and then we'll see how it goes. So it is saying that there's no shipping date as null, so it is all the status is showing as shipped. So this covers up everything related to the select statement. If you're watching me for the first time, please don't hesitate to subscribe and like. Also, I would appreciate if you'll provide your feedback so that I can improve. Thank you so much.